Greetings, it's me, Sovereign Non-Velodium, here in OG Foundation, the capital of Velodium, and I'm procrastinating a bit right now because I'm in a transition, starting a new project, but it's very complicated, and it seemed easier to just talk to a phone instead of doing the thing. I started doing it, and then it was getting daunting, and so I'm just going to talk to the phone to try to resolve some other things by externalizing it through communication with whoever might watch. So some potential conflicting things include other parties that are in conflict with me or Elodium, and I'm not in conflict with them, and yet we live in the same reality. So at some point, the other people who are conflicted, they can try to bring their conflict to you. They can try to impose their conflict upon you. What do you do when someone tries to impose themselves upon you? Ideally for me, I will just keep building my castle here and representing an ideal of freedom and sovereignty and being the example I want to see in the world, which is why I like the We Are Change logo, be the change you want to see in the world. So that comes from Gandhi, and so We Are Change is like taking that to heart. Be the change you want to see in the world. It says we are the change we want to see in the world. So this is a camera. It's not a gun, it's a camera, but it's showing how the pen is mightier than the sword. The camera is more powerful than the weapon. Apparently there's some parties who think I'm armed and dangerous, and I am armed. I'm absolutely armed. It's actually a responsibility of the people to be armed so that they can contribute to the militia. That's in the Vermont Constitution. It's not just like the U.S. Constitution where it says the militia is necessary and it defends the right of it. The Vermont Constitution says that it's a requirement that you have to contribute, either personally, or if you can't personally contribute, you have to pay money so that you can support other people who can contribute to the militia. So of course I'm armed. It's my responsibility and duty as a responsible adult to be armed. Dangerous? Well, that's another thing. So I'm not dangerous at all. I'm only dangerous when things attack me, right? Otherwise, it's the non-aggression principle. I'm a firm believer in the non-aggression principle. But people confuse the non-aggression principle with pacifism. So the reason that pacifism doesn't resonate for me is because if you subject yourself to the violence of another, basically the reason is because the violence always dominates the peaceful, and so the peaceful will always be subjugated by the violent and in pacifism, and they'll end up feeding into the violence because their subjugation will feed into further violence. The example being a dominating state that wages war, and then once they subjugate the population, they tax them, and then so the people who don't want to resist their own oppression, they subsidize the further oppression of themselves and of other people. So it's a fatal mistake, pacifism. I had a little chicken intervention, but basically I just realized in reflection that my intent of this video is just to respond to this allegation of armed and dangerous. So I addressed that it's the responsibility of all people to be armed, and the purpose of that is so that there's the potential to neutralize any aggression from a foreign or domestic actor that might try to violate the rights of the sovereign people or person. So I am armed. I'm absolutely armed. I'm as heavily armed as I'm able to be. If I could arm myself more heavily and get probably like some kind of, like, here's a plane right here. It's flying over real low. So like if I could get some kind of ability to protect my airspace, I would do that for sure. I could not necessarily shoot the plane down, but like at least be able to like ward it off somehow. There's got to be a way to ward a plane off violating the privacy of my airspace. threaten my local peace. Like, it's just gonna fly over that low. It's not very cool. So, armed and dangerous. Armed, yes. Dangerous, no, because I follow the principle of non-aggression. I don't intend to aggress against anyone. I don't have any conflict with anyone. But the purpose of having arms is to be able to neutralize the aggression of foreign or domestic enemies. So I don't have any enemies, but others position themselves as my enemy, and they threaten force against me. And then they say I'm armed and dangerous. So relative to them, that's true. Those who would threaten force or impose force or some form of attempt to subjugate another or a sovereign being, they might not be a sovereign being, so they might just be acting out of their own insecurities, wanting to control the external actor because they fear their own state of potential freedom. So they need to govern themselves, so they think that they need to govern other people. Perhaps that's what it is, I don't know. But just addressing this allegation of armed and dangerous, that I'm not dangerous to anyone other than those who might aggress against me. And then they have to assume that they're going to kill me, and then I'm going to defend myself before I die, because I'm not a pacifist. So that's just a general understanding, and who really wants to engage in that kind of conflict? Well, usually it's people who aren't going to engage. It's someone else who says, like, orders someone else to, like, okay, you go fight to the death. Like what's going on in Ukraine. Like the warmongers have no problem with it. They send other people to fight, and they never fight. So that's what I would say is, if it's a lawyer listening and or some sort of, I don't know who else. I guess the allegation came from a lawyer that I'm armed and dangerous. So if they want to impose their system of domination upon me and disarm and evict me, make me homeless, and then, I don't know, disenfranchise me from all my property, they make themselves out to be the enemy, and they should have the courage to act upon their aggressive intentions, as opposed to try to get others to do it for them, as a coward would. So they can come here on their own and try to evict me, and that would be the most direct form of conflict resolution in regards to whatever lawyers, trust, town, zoning people are so conflicted that they want to kill somebody out of their own confliction. So I'm here. You can come and try to kill me. It's fine, but I'm not going to aggress against anyone.